Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to check out some more brand new Mattel figures, as these are the newest Snap Squads that have released. These are the Snap Squad Attitudes figures. So these are a brand new line of Snap Squads, differentiating themselves a little bit from the previous releases as far as the Snap Squads go, and we have some more really cool figures in this line, as well as two brand new species that I have not had the opportunity to enter into my collection as far as Snap Squads go prior to this. We have a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which we have had plenty of already. We've also got a Dimorphodon, which is a brand new one. Really cool to see that enter the line. We also have another Velociraptor, which we've had tons of already, and this one actually has a pretty fun looking paint scheme on it. And then we also have probably the most chill Stegosaurus in history over there on the far left. So some really cool figures here in this line, but also the fact that we have two new species entering it in this wave is just beyond awesome if you ask me. The packaging is pretty much your standard as far as like Mattel packaging goes. We have that kind of really nice Dino Escape packaging, even though it doesn't actually have a Dino Escape logo or anything here on the front, but we can also see a brand new, again, Snap Squad's Attitudes logo up here in the top right hand corner of the box. And then here on the back, it's pretty much just your standard. We also have this kind of like little area that sticks out here on the side, which we didn't have prior to this, showing sort of like a teaser of the, chomping feature, the kind of Snap Squad type action feature. And it just kind of loops up over the top of the dinosaur. Also has a little bit going on here on the inside. So that's really fun, different packaging from what we've had prior to this. So a little bit of a fresh feel for this round and this newest wave and line of Snap Squads. So let's go ahead, break all of these out of the packaging, and then jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting with the T-Rex, looking at it straight away, you would think that it's actually just a straight up repaint of the previous Tyrannosaurus release as far as the Snap Squads go, but you would actually be wrong, because this is the previous Tyrannosaurus, and you can see straight away that there are quite a bit of difference between the two different figures. Specifically, obviously, like the body looks like it's almost primarily the same, but the head definitely has some pretty strong differences. The teeth are different sizes, the eyes are different sizes. In general, the head shape and skull shape and everything is quite different. So the newest version of the Tyrannosaurus is definitely a completely new sculpt as far as the head area at the very least goes. And as far as this one does go, we can see some pretty nice looking detailing to the head of the Rex, although I will say the detail almost looks to be a little bit more muted than some of the previous releases from the Snap Squads go. But it still looks decent, nothing overly flashy as far as the detailing standpoint, but nothing bad either. You can see that there is some decent looking scale detail and stuff to the face, but it's just, not quite as vibrant as the previous sculpt was. You can see the nostrils up here on the tip of the snout, as well as, again, a very big yellow eye with a nice big black pupil. He almost has like a concerned look on his face, like he looks worried about something. It almost makes me think that the Dimorphodon is giving him that, not so approving stare, and he's concerned about what he did wrong, and you'll see that Dimorphodon stare here soon enough. But other than that, there's not really much going on here on the face. You could see a nice brownish coloration with some kind of dark gray speckles, as Mattel usually includes their speckling. Up here on the top of the head, you can see some more of that dark gray kind of just splotch right there in the middle of the head, and that's really about it as far as the head goes. We do have a lighter coloration here for the lower jaw. That lighter coloration also runs down here throughout the underneath of our Tyrannosaurus. Of course, there's no nail paint on the fingers, but we do have nail paint on the toes, so that is a plus. We also have more of that dark gray here on the back. There is no coloration leading out onto the tail or anything like that. And then once we open the mouth, of course, we have the really nicely detailed mouth right there. You can see that the detailing looks really good all over the inside of the mouth. Really nice realistic tone of color used as well, and a beautiful gloss coat added in there. The eye, of course, also has the gloss coat, and there's definitely, as per usual, some very strong force on this little Tyrannosaurus, so of course he can hang quite nicely. The actual bite force of these figures certainly has not changed, so they're still really good at clinging on, but a pretty nice looking Tyrannosaurus with a pretty fresh looking sculpt, I guess. And then we have the Dimorphodon, who we were just speaking of in his not-so-approving glare. You can see that he definitely has either just heard probably the most offensive joke in the world, or someone has just done something that he's really not fond of. One way or another, this Dimorphodon is definitely giving us a very strong glare, and it's not an approving glare, that's for sure. You can see that as far as the sculpt goes, though, it looks pretty nice. There's definitely some nice detail. The lower jaw actually allows that detail to shine quite nicely here, as we have that lighter coloration for the lower jaw. Pops really nicely down there. The upper side of the head, you can see also sports some nice detail, but because of the darker coloration, I feel like you can't see it quite as nicely. There's a good bit of color variation on this one, though, as you can see kind of like an orangish, reddish type of a color here that circles around the eye. The eye itself is yellow with a black pupil, just like the Tyrannosaur's eye was. You can also see like some dark yellow kind of splotching here in the face, and then we can see the nostrils sculpted out right there, and you also have the teeth again sculpted out here for the Dimorphodon. Unlike your usual Dimorphodons from Mattel, we don't have like interlocking teeth or anything, but I don't know that they could pull that off on a Snap Squad style figure. Same deal over here, really nice paintwork, again very nice and consistent on both sides. It looks quite beautiful. We also have kind of like a dark gray speckling, very similar to the T-Rex who we had just taken a look at. The inside of the mouth has a very wide mouth on this one, but you can again see a very nice realistic tone of color included, very nicely detailed throughout. We've got a tongue in there, and again another really nice gloss coat. And of course the eyes also have been given a gloss coat. As we move down into the back of the Dimorphodon, you can actually see some pycnofibers pick up, as well as kind of like some ridges running along the spinal column of our Dimorphodon. The actual texturing to the skin throughout the body also looks pretty nice. You can see a lot of like creasing and everything going on. Very similar sculpt to the Amber Collection Dimorphodon as far as like the way the back is sculpted out, and we had just taken a look at those, so it's really fresh in my mind, and I'm noticing how like it has those kind of like pycnofibers up here, and then you can see kind of like a larger bumpy scaling right after that's very similar to the way the Amber Collection ones looked. You can also see the tail comes out here and has that really cool, very Dimorphodon-like tip, which is actually really quite nicely detailed on this one, potentially even better as far as the detailing aspect goes than a lot of the standard Mattel figures, and maybe even the actual Amber Collection, because you can really see how nice the detailing there is on that tail. We've also got our wings, which is really cool, and unfortunately no nail paint on anything on this. There's just no nail paint at all, but you can see some yellow coloration picking up here in the wings of the Dimorphodon. The actual skin texture within the wings also looks quite nice. We don't have any paintwork, however, on the rear of the wings. And then we have that lighter coloration here that runs down throughout the entire underside of the Dimorphodon. So he's definitely a fun figure, and I'm really happy to actually have a pterosaur in the line now. Then we got ourselves the Velociraptor, and just like with the Rex, you can straight away see again that the head sculpt is quite different in comparison to the previous Velociraptor sculpts, and you can really see again just generally a difference in the shape of the skull, difference in the size of the eye. The newer kind of attitude versions have a lot larger eyes, it seems, again a lot more of like an actual expression on the faces as opposed to the previous ones where they were just kind of dinosaurs. These ones actually are meant to kind of have like a sort of an emotion showing on the figure, and you can kind of see that here. Not anything overly dramatic or obvious on the Raptor. He just kind of almost looks spaced out. Maybe he's just deep in thought. But you can see that the sculpt of the Raptor as well looks pretty nice. Again, the detailing isn't super vibrant or anything, but it definitely doesn't look bad. The eyes are again painted with a yellow and a big black pupil. So as far as the eyes go on this wave up until this point, there is no difference between any of them. They all have yellow eyes and black pupils. The Raptor is looking directly at us right now, and he looks ridiculous. You can see the nostrils again here at the tip of the snout. There's also a dark blue or a potentially black speckling. Actually, I think it is just a dark blue. It's the same dark blue you can see kind of splattered up here on the top of the head. The detailing up here actually does look quite nice. Definitely very nice scale detail up there. Of course, we can open the Raptor's mouth. We've got the teeth on the inside of the mouth, which is really nice to see. And all of the teeth are painted beautifully. We can also see the nice realistic coloration here for the inside of the mouth. I feel like the inside of the mouth color for all three has been exactly the same, which isn't a bad thing because it's a nice realistic tone of color. But you can also see, again, the really nice gloss coat added in there like we always have. Again, nice strong bite force for our Raptor. The eyes also have a gloss coat, and you can see a nice kind of an off-white here for the lower jaw, and that runs down here, although it does change as far as the shade of color used. It changes from kind of like that off-white to a light yellow here for the underside. We do have claws painted on the Raptor, which is definitely a plus. especially after the Dimorphodon did not have any painted nails. We also have more of that like kind of splotch of blue here on the back, that darker blue, and I really do like the coloration here as far as the blue goes. It's really nice and appealing to the eye, a beautiful tone of color that they've used for it. Maybe not the most realistic tone of color, but definitely a very nice and appealing looking color, if you ask me. And the body itself probably is the same. Yeah, it definitely looks like the body's the same, but again, a newly sculpted head. You can even see a difference in size between the heads. We're looking up above. The newer Raptor has a much larger head, but it's a pretty nice looking Raptor. Again, nothing amazing or anything, but definitely nice to see a new sculpt for the Snap Squad Raptors. And the final one is probably my favorite Snap Squad potentially ever. We have the uber chill Stegosaurus, and he looks awesome. I just love the face on him. This Stegosaurus looks like nothing is ever going to bother him. There could be an Allosaurus right now coming down with its jaws onto the back of the neck of this Stegosaurus, and he just does not care at all. Not a care in the world on the face of this Stegosaurus. But just like all of the other Snap Squads, you can see again a really nicely detailed head sculpt here. The beak specifically has some nice detail included in it. You can also see the nostrils sculpted out right there. Some nice skin texture throughout the head sculpt of the Stegosaurus. Yet again, a yellow eye with a black pupil. The black pupil is probably the largest on this Stegosaurus due to his extremely chill facial expression. You can definitely see a very large black pupil, but it also has a really nice gloss coat to it. And then the lower jaw has a grayish coloration. Once we open the mouth, you can see the teeth in there for our Stegosaurus look really quite nice. And you can again see a very nice realistic tone of color, which I believe now that means that all of them have had the same color eyes and the same color on the inside of the mouth, but it also sports again a really nice gloss coat. I'm so psyched to have a Stegosaurus in this line. This is absolutely awesome to have this. And then as we move back into the body, the detailing does look really quite nice back here. You can also see some nice brown plates up here on the back of the Stegosaurus. Really nice looking tone of green. The tone of green here on the back almost looks like a slightly different shade of green than what we see on the face, the legs, and the tail. So there's a little color difference as far as that goes. The legs also look quite nice. We have muscle definition and everything sculpted out within them. Unfortunately, no nail paint yet again, but we can pick up on that kind of dark black speckling throughout, which is pretty much a favorite of Mattel. And then leading out into the tail, you can again see that we have the thagomizers out here painted quite nicely. Unfortunately, there is like a set of plates back here on the tail, but they don't actually have any color difference from the green on the tail. Would have been nice to have those have the same brown color as the plates elsewhere, but that's just a really minor nitpick. And you can also see that the lighter coloration runs down here onto the underbelly. Again, a slightly different shade of that lighter coloration here compared to the grayish coloration here of the lower jaw. It has more of like an off-white here for the underside of the Stegosaurus. But the Stegosaurus is awesome. And of course, all of them have articulation in the tails and articulation in the legs, and then of course the jaw, except for of course the Dimorphodon, who has articulation in his wings as opposed to his arms. But again, absolutely awesome wave of Snap Squads. Definitely liking these new Attitude Snap Squad figures. One plus to the Snap Squad figures is the fact that they always stand really well, and you would expect that on the quadrupedal stances of the figures on the left, but even the bipedal ones on the right still stand really nicely, so Mattel has done a good job continuously of making sure that their figures balance. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our new Attitude Snap Squad figures, and definitely showing you that they still end up in the exact same size range as all of the previous ones. So although we have new sculpts and, in some cases slightly enlarged heads compared to the previous releases, the overall body mass and size ends up being right around in the same size group as all of the previous Snap Squad figures. So these brand new 2021 Snap Squad figures from Mattel, the Attitude Snap Squad figures, are definitely fun. Again, I actually really quite like the fact that they've kind of revamped the line, because they were honestly getting a little stale there at the end, as we've had so many repaints of the same ones and we weren't really getting too many new species. We get like one every once in a while, but this wave has definitely revamped the entire series a little bit, because we now have 2 brand new species included in it, and overall new sculpts on even the ones that we've had prior with like the Raptor and the Rex. We have newly sculpted heads, so bringing new life to a series of figures that was kind of starting to burn out a little bit in the eyes of many. But I actually really like these ones again. The Dimorphodon is awesome looking. Absolutely beautiful sculpt on the Dimorphodon. Obviously, these aren't meant to be accurate by any means. They're just goofy, exaggerated figures, and that's exactly what a goofy, exaggerated Dimorphodon would look like. So they did a fantastic job on the Dimorphodon, and I also really quite like the paint scheme that they've chosen. And of course, the look on the Dimorphodon's face is priceless. Absolutely awesome is the sculpt of the head there of the Dimorphodon. Just love the very unimpressed and look of disapproval on the face of that Dimorphodon. The Stegosaurus is probably my favorite, well, definitely my favorite of this wave, but probably my favorite Snap Squad of all time. Like, I really, really like that Stegosaurus. Of course, the uber chill look on his face is fantastic, but I'm just generally a huge fan of Stegosaurus, and I'm so excited to have one here in the line that I just really, really love this figure. And the overall appearance that they've given it is just fantastic as well, with the really nice greenish paint scheme and brown plates. It resembles a Lost World style Stegosaurus, which is a huge, huge plus if you ask me, and just, again, an overall beautiful looking Stegosaurus, and I'm again really happy to have one now in the Snap Squad line. The Raptor, although not your most realistic tones of color, but then again they're Snap Squad figures, nothing about them is realistic, is a really appealing looking Raptor as far as the coloration goes. I love the tones of color they've used on it. Both different variations of blue are really nice looking, and again the newly sculpted head is also quite fun. I don't know exactly what type of attitude he's supposed to be showing with that, other than, again, like I had stated, being kind of spaced out, but it definitely looks quite nice. And then we have the Rex, who has almost a look of fear on his face, and I feel like he must have done something that he's not proud of, because he looks like he's right about to be caught. As far as the way his eyes look, he just has a very, very strong look of concern to his face, but the coloration is quite nice. Again, almost replicating a Rexy type of a color scheme to her. And with the newly sculpted head, it's definitely, again, another fresh addition to the Snap Squads, even though we've had the Tyrannosaur quite a few times now. The version we have now has a newly sculpted head, so that adds a fresh take on that figure. So as a whole, all of these are definitely awesome, and I can recommend for sure picking these up if you find them, because they are all really cool and really fun additions to the Snap Squad line. So if you are interested in these, head to your local Walmart, because that's actually where I found mine. I have heard people finding them at Target as well, but mine were located at Walmart, so I'm going to go ahead and say head to Walmart, as I know they definitely are putting them out already. And one way or another, if you are interested, again, pick them up if you can find them, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.